Beards and Flicks, baby.
Okay, guys, welcome back to Beards and Flicks. My name is Brad Johnson. I am joined with I'm joined with...
What do you normally say?
I don't know.
Oh, you always say, I'm joined as always with my
Okay.
best friend, my partner in crime. You always say...
Cool. Okay, there we go. We did it. We said it. We said all the words.
Oh.
Well, guys, we're back. You'll be hearing this in March. We're recording this at the tail end of what people have been calling Snowpocalypse 2021.
/ Black History Month.
Yeah. Such a strange 7 days it's been. It started snowing last Sunday, and we got 3 big bouts of snow and ice, and
Then more snow.
And it caused people to have to stay home, couldn't drive, no people were working.
No power.
No power.
No
in
water.
some places, no water. In a
Yeah.
lot of places, like my place.
Some places even still now don't have water.
So you were already down from Dallas.
I came down the Friday before that Sunday that it hit, so yeah. Because I already planned to come down anyway.
Yeah, and we had recorded Hidden Figures
And Black Panther.
that Saturday.
Right.
And then everything started. Things kind of started Saturday night.
It got cold Saturday night.
It got really, really cold,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just started dumping on us over the next few days.
Yeah.
And people didn't work for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so strange.
I took Monday off because with my company it was considered a floating holiday. So I just used one of my floating holidays for, I think it's President's Day was Monday.
Yes.
And then I was pissed because I was like, man, I took this day off and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Can't go anywhere.
Yeah. You were texting me and you're like, man, I want to go do something.
Yeah. And then Tuesday came when I was supposed to go back to work. I work remote, so I just brought my stuff.
Right.
And that's when we lost power. So I couldn't work Tuesday either.
Yeah, and you guys lost power for days, right?
Well, we lost power for 36 hours. So the back half of Monday night, all Tuesday.
Yeah. And it would come on for 15 minutes.
We were getting news reports that I guess the city was going to do like rolling power outages to I guess conserve power.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're supposed to do everyone gets power in this area for an hour, then off for an hour, on and off. But for us, we would get power every 4 hours, and it would come on and flicker off 3 or 4 times in a 15-minute time frame,
Wow.
and then no power. So my mom was smart enough to get this pattern down. She said, okay, every 4 hours this is gonna happen, and so she was ready to start cooking stuff as soon as the power came back. Whether it was 4 a.m. or 10 a.m, she would just jump out of bed and you could see her zoom by into the kitchen trying to get stuff ready.
Wow, that's so
just to
smart.
get a hot meal because we ate cold sandwiches for 2 days.
Yeah.
And it was rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't have it as bad as some people, so I don't want to make it seem like
Right.
we were just, in dire.
I mean, everyone struggled. It was such a strange, the entire state of Texas was under a winter every winter weather or winter storm watch, whatever,
Right.
every single county. And I've never seen that before.
Well, I think my sister told me that the White House declared Texas a state of emergency.
Yeah.
I was like, what does that even mean?
In the beginning of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that lasted still for a few more days.
Yeah.
So I was able to go and stay at my girlfriend's house.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend come get me. He had an all-wheel Mercedes vehicle, and he was out getting stuff for his family.
Okay.
And she actually asked him, hey, can you go get Brad and just bring him over here? Because I was running out of food. My water had just been shut off Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
So this was Thursday. And so I went over there and I was able to stay in a centrally heated, had water location for the rest, the next few days.
Right.
And now I can't even go back home because a pipe burst either last night or this morning, and our water's off again.
And you don't even know if the apartment's flooded.
And I haven't been there, so I don't even know if my apartment's flooded.
Man.
So
yeah, it's been rough, man.
Such a crazy year. It's not even. It's just now March.
Right.
You're going to be hearing this in March.
So January we had the storming of the Capitol.
Yep.
And in February we had that winter storm.
And I had COVID for a week.
And you had COVID also in January.
So I haven't really worked much this year.
You haven't.
Because of our time off between Christmas and New Year's, my 10 days off for COVID, this week because of snow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It has been crazy.
Yeah. But, watched some good movies, watched some good shows. I was watching, I rewatched Entourage.
Yes.
I made about halfway through this show.
You were texting me so much while you were watching it, and I was so jealous that you were watching.
Yeah, it's such a good show, and I know that why both of us like it so much because it's in our realm of production and acting and all that stuff, and it's really cool.
Yeah, man. I'm actually heading back to Dallas today, and looks like the roads will be, it's just a lot of water now.
Yeah, roads are fine.
Yeah.
Now,
last night we hung out at Amanda's place.
Yeah.
And I think it was like around 7 o'clock because I was a little late because I overslept.
Yeah.
And the roads were fine until I got to the last turn, which is where her house is.
Yeah.
And it's just this uphill incline. I'm thinking, I can make it. But you look at the road and you can tell it hasn't been driven through a lot, like the other roads.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, I'll try and see what happens. And as soon as I turn onto the street, like my car starts to slide, like not just like up or down, but like kind of diagonal.
The back end,
like towards the curve.
Yeah. Oh.
And there's a bug behind me that was gonna pull in behind me, but saw I was struggling, so they just kind of sat and watched.
Yeah.
And
let's see what this guy's gonna do.
Yeah, pretty much. And so then this guy walks up, like from the direction of the street, and he's like, "Hey man, we ran into the same problem. Just go around the block, the next street, and come down because you'll be on the down the slope."
Yeah.
And I went that way, and it was fine.
Yeah. So leaving just now to come here, that patch was still there. Like half of it had been gone.
Yeah.
The half closer to her house. But that part where you were when I walked out and saw you, that's still there. It's more slushy now.
Right.
And I drove through it in her Suburban.
Okay.
But I was able to get through it.
Yeah.
Because I guess I weigh more, or the vehicle weighs more.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was on the side of the road, it was more dried out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, driving here, there's still sections where there's like lots of snow on the sides of the roads that haven't melted. I mean, it's going to be 50 something today, so a lot of it's going to be melted. The air is a lot warmer.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling the wind this morning was way different.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
last night. Like it's just it's so crazy.
Yeah, when I was driving here actually a few minutes ago, one of the main roads I take when I first start the drive, there's just 2 lanes on both sides, and the furthest lane to like the curb in the grass, whatever, had these big like Icelandic boulders of ice.
Yeah,
it's like they're only taking 1 lane to drive through, the other lane they're pushing all the ice to the side, and I mean these things were huge. They're like rocks.
Yeah,
they were huge, man.
I saw those yesterday. We got out of the house only to go to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
We drove to Super One that's by her house, and the parking lot was just slammed. And there was a line to turn in at that light, like past Chick-fil-A, like really far down.
Wow.
So we decided not to go there, and we went all the way to White House and went to the Brookshire's in White House. Nothing on the shelves. We went to produce first. Nothing. Like we grabbed some bananas. Yeah. There was like only a few left, but there was literally, I've never seen this store like that before. And I used to work for the company, and there were people in the store restocking the shelves that work at corporate. So they had been brought in to help restock.
Man,
trucks were coming in. We had a plan for dinner last night, but because we couldn't find, like, there was no chicken.
Yeah.
In the meat section, there was no chicken. There was only red meats. So we chose ribs, and we had a great dinner.
Ribs were delicious, though.
But it was like bare bones.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's a lot of canned food on the shelves, but there wasn't a lot of meat and produce.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad.
Milk and eggs are all gone.
All that was gone too, and bread.
Yeah, bread.
Yeah, my dad and I went to Sam's yesterday morning, and like you said, everything was gone. It wasn't really packed like I thought it would be. But because at one point Sam's even sent out an email saying they were going to be closed for a day.
Yeah, to like restock.
Because they couldn't get their, I guess, distribution trucks in. Yeah. So we went yesterday morning. There just happened to be like a couple of 2 packs of bread, like loaves of bread. So we grabbed one of those.
Right.
Like I said, everything else was out. Like they had a lot of water.
Yeah.
But no eggs, like no meat.
Yeah, we just weren't, like, a city like Tyler is not prepared for that much snow for that amount of time.
Yeah.
Cities in the north have heated streets. Or, more drainage for the snow, whatever.
Or they'll salt the roads too.
Or they'll salt. We did. So I saw so her house backs up to Biloxi, so you can see the salt trucks going up and down Biloxi the night before or whatever. A couple nights in a row, actually. But I can't believe this. I still say this. It's just so crazy.
Yeah.
Growing up here, I've lived here my entire life, except for when I went to college. But I lived here my entire life. I've never seen this much snow before.
Yeah, I was telling my sister the same thing. I was like, I'm 40 and I've never seen anything this bad. Been in Texas my whole life.
Yeah.
Never seen anything this bad.
It felt like we were driving around in Colorado.
Yeah, it did.
This whole week, so crazy.
And then I think
it was my first time to ever gather snow from outside, put it in a pot so that I could flush my toilets. Like I put it in a pot, put it on the stove, boiled it.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that 4 quarts of snow equals 1 quart of water.
Okay.
So I would just like gather a whole bunch of snow in my biggest pot I ever had.
Yeah.
Put it on the thing. As it melted, I would go out and get more snow.
Okay.
Put it on top of that, and then once that pot was full, take it to my bathroom so I could flush my toilet.
That's crazy, man.
I've never done that before. So I mean, you just figure out what you got to do to survive, or to flush your shit or whatever.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I took maybe 2 showers out of this last 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
And man, those 2 showers were glorious.
Absolutely. Like that, I saw somebody post on Facebook, and it was like, man, when that shower hits after 4 days or something, of not showering.
Yeah, man.
Just having, even if it was just like a low pressure shower,
yeah,
it's hot water on your body, and it feels great,
Yeah, the first shower I took actually was a low pressure,
yeah.
but I mean, I had the hot water turned all the way on, no cold water.
All the way, yeah.
Man, that felt so good.
So good. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, but what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about one of my favorites. I chose this one. This is Mike's pick. It's called Cloverfield. Came out in 2008. I actually saw this with Eric and Nathan back when it came out. Yeah, so you know them.
Yes.
And I think I just got invited out. Eric was like, hey, me and Nathan are going to go watch this movie. It was like just, a mini guys night.
Yeah.
And I remember Nathan was like hyping it up because he'd already seen it. And then he invited Eric, and Eric invited
see
me.
It again.
Yeah,
nice.
I remember him saying he doesn't like rewatch movies in theaters.
Oh wow!
But this was one of those. He felt like it was so good. He said, I think it had been since the first Matrix that he'd seen a movie in theaters multiple times,
like back to back.
Yeah,
yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, nah, I get it. I see why.
Yeah. This was a found footage type movie.
Yeah.
And in that era, it was a very popular thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, they did this one so much better than the other found footage movies. Like, there was Blair Witch in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there was some handheld stuff, but it was more like a camera stuck somewhere for a little period of time.
Like Paranormal Activity does the...
Yes. The camera...
The camera that pans left and right.
Yes.
It's like security cameras.
But this was... they mixed a monster movie with a love story.
Mm-hmm.
Like the end of a relationship or the bits of a relationship. And then they then there's this monster that appears, right?
If you think about it, this love story, the relationship actually ends twice.
It does.
In this movie, in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it later.
Crazy. So I loved it. I love the story arcs and the character arcs and how we had the cameraman as a character and how you rarely saw the monsters, and when you did see them, they were really good. Like CG was really good.
That's a J.J. Abrams thing.
Totally.
Like he'll tease pieces because I think what was it? Super 8.
Yep.
Was him and Spielberg.
You barely saw the monster
until the end.
And it was a really cool looking monster you never seen.
Cool and terrifying. Yeah.
Cool and terrifying.
Right.
Yeah. I saw this with my ex-wife in the theater.
Okay.
She wasn't crazy about it because she didn't like the camera movements, and I heard that from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that technique was used more later in some of the Bourne movies. There was a bunch of shaky cam stuff.
Oh, during the fight sequences.
Like the bobs and the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of became a technique after this movie. But I thought it was groundbreaking. I remember the night that I saw it, and I was bubbling over afterwards. I was just like, I've never seen anything like that before. It had so many different elements. You laughed, you got scared, you cried. It's so many good things about this movie.
Well, do you remember the first teaser drop with no title? It was attached to the beginning of the first Transformers in 2007.
Yeah.
And people were like, what is this?
What is this?
We don't know what it's about. There's no title attached.
Didn't you hear like a roar or something?
That's it. And I think you might have heard someone say, it's alive or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And then I think in February 2008, like the title Cloverfield came out and it was a different trailer. And you saw a little bit more, but not enough to really...
I don't think it had a title.
Up until the last minute.
Okay, so I think I remember reading a piece of trivia about that or something. We'll cover that in a minute. But so they were releasing... this is what we talk about sometimes when they build trailers based on some of the dailies or some of the footage they've shot.
Right.
And they don't even really know what the movie's even called. And they're putting this package together and putting it out to...
Exactly.
Yeah, to get buzz started, which is really fun. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
really
love
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Because we don't live in a day anymore where they do teasers like this. Now, the days they give you almost everything.
And I've found myself wanting to not watch trailers more because they give too much away.
Exactly, me too.
Yeah, what's the point? Like
the big, I guess, so-called blockbuster movies,
Yep.
we'll end up with 3 or 4 different trailers,
Yep.
and we'll get 3 or 4 different TV spots leading up to like the week before release.
Yeah.
And they've given away so much of the plot.
Right. A lot of times when it's a comedy, a bunch of the funniest parts of the trailer are the funniest parts of the movie.
That's true.
You know, so it's
Yeah.
a complete waste of a trailer or whatever. So
You see it happen so often
spoiled.
when you watch trailers on YouTube. Like half the comments are, "Oh, I saw the whole movie now.
Yep.
Thanks."
Yep. Don't need to see the movie now.
Yeah.
Don't need to pay for it anymore.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah.
You know who else is good at teasing movies without giving much away? It's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, he'll show you like a scene, like a couple shots from one scene.
Yeah.
And like, you know, drop a logo or something and a really cool music or whatever. But
Exactly.
yeah, he does his trailers really well. Yeah.
So I do have a question for you because this movie, a big chunk of the first act is this going away party for the main character, Rob.
Yeah.
He works for some Japanese company and it's like his send-off going away party before he leaves the next day. This party looked like a lot of fun. It reminded me of parties I used to attend like a decade ago when I went through a little party phase. I wanted to ask you, do you have any memories of like some of the best parties you ever went to? Like, where were they? What was the situation?
Yes, because and I'm thinking about mostly parties that we did in Florida with my college buddies, and that's when
In film school, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
in film school, and that's when I had another friend who did improv comedy, and we would that's what we did at parties.
Improv parties?
Like it was a get together with
Okay.
a whole bunch of people like this party in this movie, or like the ones you're talking about. But somebody would say, "Hey, Brad and Jeremy, why don't y'all do some improv?"
Oh.
And we would just get up and do like basic, improv 101 games.
That is
and it
cool.
was just so much fun. So that's what I remember the most about those kind of parties.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it was a new, exciting area that I was living in, and it wasn't like there was a whole bunch of. In fact, we weren't drinking back then, so there wasn't a whole bunch of booze, but there was a whole bunch of really good food and just fun. It was just fun. So
that seems like one of the parties that, looking back and watching this movie, you wish you got it on film.
Yes.
So you could have the memory and always watch it.
And I kind of hated that's like Facebook and social media wasn't big back then.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any images or videos or anything from those parties except for what's in my brain, which is somewhat a little bit better in some ways.
That's
when you think
true.
about it because you have like this memory, and the pictures man even do it justice.
That's true.
know?
Yeah.
So
It's like when you go to concerts. Like you see everybody recording the concerts.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times, and I look back at those clips and I'm like,
I don't. Like,
it's not even the same.
Why did I do that?
Yeah. Why did I? Yeah. Just enjoy being in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Like now I'll like snap the marquee or I'll snap
Right.
a big wide of the entire show or whatever. Yeah.
Like, why am I going to promote the concert that to everybody else when they weren't there?
Yeah.
Like, it's experience for me, not for you guys.
And my enjoyment of parties have changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And I like more intimate things like we did last night.
Yeah,
like
same.
there's like 6 of us. We're playing Cards Against Humanity. There's a little bit of booze, and there's music, and we're just.
And we had a real meal,
we had
dinner.
a really good meal.
Yeah.
Really good conversation and lots of laughter.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't want to go to a party that's got 100 people.
Yeah.
And they're in the bathroom.
And
they're in the
like
bedroom.
3 of them.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. People are throwing up. There's a fight. The cops are showing up. It's like, oh, what's that white powdery stuff? I don't want to go to those parties anymore.
Wow. That party took a turn.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, no, man. This was just a great intro to this movie. Just
this sequence was really good.
setting up the party scene.
Yeah,
And
a lot of really good conversations and like little bits of talking back and forth and like him seeing somebody he wants to talk to or whatever.
Yeah.
And, the camera following the way that was set up, the way he was like, hey, here's this camera. Can you just document this night? That was a really cool device to get us to see what was going on in the party.
Yeah.
And the way it was cut, it was really cool.
Yeah. And the music in this party was great.
Yes.
Like, this is the first time I actually paid attention to a lot of music in the background. Normally, I think when I watched it, like in the past, it's just like, oh, okay, it's just background party music, which it is. But I really paid attention, and I noticed 2 Kings of Leon songs at this party.
Yep.
And I thought, this was 2008, so I guess is that when they kind of came onto the scene.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so. This movie introduced me to one of my favorite instrumental rock bands.
Who is?
Rat-a-tat.
Oh, I think I've heard of them, but I don't.
So they are literally a couple of guys that play instruments, but there's no vocals, and they put out several albums. And one of their first albums has a song in this movie.
Okay.
So that was really cool for me because I like fell in love with that band, and found more bands like that in the coming years. So
I also like the layout of the loft. I mean, it smells like New York. It is New York.
Yeah.
I think it was in Lower Manhattan.
Okay.
So I just
little more upper society type loft.
Definitely.
Cool stairwells and cool like brick. What's it called? Facades or whatever it was.
Yeah. One thing I love about New York living is a lot of it because it's the way the city is built. Like that you build up. Because you don't have a lot of space. Kind of like in Japan, you build up because you don't have enough
to go out.
Real estate to build out.
Yeah.
And there's always access to the roof.
Yes.
And I love that.
That's
and I
cool.
wish we had like living areas like that here in Texas.
Downtown, back when Jake's was open, there was a club downtown called Jake's. They had a rooftop.
Oh, they did.
And we would go up there. And like what's weird about it is you can see the jail from the rooftop. So like you're like, oh, let's party. Oh, there's the jail.
There's
like,
there's my Uncle Dave. Hey, still locked up.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't really see anyone, but you could see the jail. That was kind of weird.
Right.
However, if you look the other way, just turn around.
Yeah.
You could see the beautiful downtown square and stuff. So that's the only kind of thing that I can equate this to is thinking about going up on a roof.
That is true.
Jake's.
Yeah.
But it plays a big part in the movie.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's a part of the film that I wouldn't have partaken. I wouldn't have gone to the roof when they go to the roof. But I love everything that leads up to them going to the roof.
Yeah.
Especially that one little segment where it's Rob, Jason, and Hud, the cameraman, on the balcony talking about, it's not Lily, it's the other chick, Beth, right? Yeah. And the camera angle is kind of at a diagonal slant, kind of pointed up, mainly at Rob. And they're having this very realistic conversation. What I love about the dialogue in this film is everything seems like just everyday, realistic dialogue. Nothing is like this Oscar-worthy, over the top, super intellectual words or dialogue. It's just everyday common dialogue.
Right.
And they're having this conversation about Beth and Rob and why things haven't worked out. And like 5 minutes into that conversation, there's this boom, and you don't know what's going on. And then you start hearing people say, well, can we go
What was that? What's his name? TJ Miller Hud, on the camera. He's like, what was that?
Yeah.
Hey guys, did you hear that? What was that? He would zoom in or whatever and stuff.
Everything he says in this movie has so much urgency behind it. That's just him, though, I think. Just the way he delivers his lines.
That's totally him. Let's talk about the cast because a bunch of these people we had recognized, but some of them we didn't know, or I didn't know. So, recognizables would be Lizzie Kaplan.
Yeah, she got top billing in this.
Yeah, she was kind of hot at that time in a lot of things around the time. TJ Miller, he's been in some hot water in the past for some of the things he said, either on social media or in his stand-up. But I've always really enjoyed seeing him on screen. He's really fun to watch.
He's hilarious.
Jason is played by Mike Vogel. I hadn't seen him before. He looked familiar. He's been in The Help. She's Out of My League. A few more things. Did you recognize him?
No. When I watched this movie, I didn't recognize anybody. I didn't even know TJ Miller at that time either.
Yeah.
I recognized Lizzie Kaplan from, I guess, some other things, but that was it.
Beth was played by Odette Annabelle, and she was in something at the same time that I had recognized her from, and I don't remember what it was.
She was in a horror film, I think, the year after this.
Okay.
Called The Unborn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's all I pretty much know her from.
She was on New Girl, just for a little bit. She was on a show called Brothers and Sisters, which is a pretty big show on ABC for a long time. The Unborn. She was in Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Did you ever see that?
I think I saw that.
John C. Reilly.
Shortly after it came out, yeah.
Yeah. She was in Transformers, but she wasn't. She was her character's name is Socialite, so she was probably just a background actor. But she was in the movie called The Holiday, another like bit part, a small part. Here's what's crazy about her though, she was in Kindergarten Cop in 1990.
For real?
Yeah.
Never would have known that
Yep.
if she hadn't told me. Who was she?
She was one of the kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go back and watch.
Yeah. And then you have Rob, played by Michael Stahl David. You have Lily, played by Jessica Lucas, and I hadn't seen her before.
I haven't seen her before or since.
Yeah, well, she was in the Covenant movie.
Oh, it was trash.
She was in The New Evil Dead.
She
was
was
in Pompeii in 2014. She's been in several things. She's in a Coldplay thing.
So Michael Stahl David, he's done a lot of TV after this. Pretty much, he kind of became one of those like working actors.
Yeah.
Where you just get a lot of bit parts and a one-off episode of this show, and he'll jump to the next show. One character.
He kind of has like an everyman look, you know.
Mike Vogel, who plays Jason, Rob's brother in the movie, he was in a movie I recently saw. It was the remake of that old TV show, Fantasy Island.
Yes.
It had Michael Pena in it.
Yes.
So this is like a horror take on that show.
Right.
Mike Vogel pops up in like one of the segments of the film.
That's cool.
And I was like, oh, I remember that guy because he died in the bridge.
How was that movie?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Theo Rossi's in this movie. Rossi, I don't know how to say that, but he's, from Sons of Anarchy fame.
I haven't watched that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so don't hate me.
You might recognize him. What's crazy about him is I know who he's married to. She was a newscaster here in Tyler, and she, I guess she went off and met him, and they got married. He was in Sons of Anarchy for a while. He was in Luke Cage.
Oh, okay. He was the bald guy. I think he's yes.
Yeah.
I recognize him from Luke Cage.
That's
also.
his image. Yeah. Kind of a small part in this movie. This movie's directed by Matt Reeves, and we hadn't really seen a lot from him prior to Cloverfield.
No.
However, he did a lot of TV. Yeah, he did a lot of TV. Felicity.
So that's where him and Abrams hooked up. Is on
That's
Felicity.
right.
Yeah.
So that's where they met, and then later he directs this movie, and then he brings us the Planet of the Apes movies in 2014 and in 2017.
And he wrote and he's directing the new Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson. Yeah. Which has been delayed and delayed and delayed.
Yeah.
And who knows when we're going to see that, but we'll see.
Now it just says 2022, so that could be January or that could be December 2022. We don't know.
Yeah. So this came out in 2008.
Yes.
What was happening in 2008?
A lot of big movies. I'm just going to ring them off like I always do. The Dark Knight. Yeah, Wall-E, Gran Torino, The Wrestler with... the females, Marissa Tomei, but the 80s
actor.
From The Expendables.
Mickey Rourke.
Thank you, yeah. Hurt Locker, that's the Catherine Bigelow director.
Yes.
Yeah. Benjamin Button, Let the Right One In, which is...
That's kind of a horror movie, right?
Yeah, it's like this little girl's a vampire, and this kid's bullied. He kind of takes her in as like befriends her because she sticks up for him. Ironically enough, Let the Right One In, Matt Reeves, the director of this movie, directed the American version of Let the Right One In because that was a Swedish movie.
Yeah.
And he directed the American version. Had Chloe Grace Moretz in it as the vampire chick.
Called Let Me In.
Yeah, Let Me In. Yeah. The Swedish one's Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
Revolutionary Road, The First Taken. In Bruges, have you seen that?
I haven't. It's Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those like...
It's been in my Netflix queue for
Yeah,
ever.
I know, mine too.
Yeah.
I'll get to it at some point, I guess. Tropic Thunder, Slumdog Millionaire, Iron Man, the first one, Pineapple Express, Burn After Reading, another Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Wanted, Step Brothers, The Strangers, which you never saw, right?
No, I never saw it.
If we ever do like a horror episode,
movie?
I would highly recommend it. I'm gonna watch it with you too.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and Kung Fu Panda, the first one.
Okay, lots of
solid hits that year. Yeah,
man.
I did want to talk a little bit about the writer and the DP because these are all people. Even Matt Reeves are all in this J.J. Abrams wheelhouse. So we talked about how Matt Reeves and Abrams hooked up on Felicity.
Yeah.
The writer Drew Goddard hooked up with J.J. Abrams on the show Alias with Jennifer Garner.
Yep.
And the DP Michael Bonvillain. Bonvillain's his last name.
Bonvillain?
No, it's not D. It's Bond, but it's hilarious that your last name is Bonvillain.
Yeah. Michael, what do you do? I'm a Bond villain.
I'm a Bond villain. But he was the DP on Felicity, Alias, Lost, Fringe.
Yep.
So basically everything that J.J. Abrams has done,
Yep.
So that's how
smart
that worked
on
out.
Abrams' part.
Mm-hmm. Budget for this movie was $25 million. made 172. So
Nice.
Nice return on that.
Probably a lot of repeat purchases of tickets because of say for instance your friend Nathan saw it and he was like, I've got to take my friends to go see this.
Gotta go see it again. Yeah. This came out in January 2008, which normally is like the dump season of the year because everybody's just like throwing stuff out.
Exactly. It's very strange that a movie like this would come out in January. Do you remember growing up when like horror movies or monster movies would come out either in the summer or at Halloween?
Yeah.
Only
those 2 times of the year. You're right.
Yeah.
Now they come out all times of the year. Yeah.
Doesn't matter when.
That is so true. So true. Why did I say that twice? I don't know.
Cool.
Oh, so we talked about the title of the film at the top of the podcast.
Yep.
The name Cloverfield is the exit that J.J. Abrams takes to his Santa Monica office.
Wow.
So there was like a couple of different title changes that they were kind of debating on what to use. I think one was Slusho, which is like a drink that shows up in a lot of J.J. Abrams projects. I think one was even Terragato, which is the Japanese company that Rob is going to go move to work for.
Yeah. A lot of times he uses his grandfather's name, Kelvin, for his working titles.
Yeah.
For instance, when he was working on Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the production was called Kelvin.
Okay.
And nobody knew what it was. And so you could like keep it under wraps.
It's interesting that some of these like big movies, they try to keep it so secretive.
Yeah.
And so they'll change the title or they'll make it some weird name.
Right.
Like, what the last word he says could be the name of the movie for now.
Yeah.
So no one ever knows what it's about.
Yeah.
Until, I guess they want you to
Or
know.
it's a completely made up something that has nothing to do with the movie at all.
Right.
Just to keep you guessing. Yeah.
Like I would name all my projects Water Bottle.
Yeah.
And no one would ever know.
Water Bottle. That's cool. So I showed this movie to Remy only a few months ago, and he really likes disaster monster movies. Plus, he wanted to see something different he'd never seen before, and I'd already shown him Super 8 in the beginning. I think it was last summer. I showed him Super 8, and he fell in love with Super 8.
Right.
And I remember him kept telling me, he was like, Daddy, this movie is so great. Like, he just loved Super 8. Like, it was so exciting and so fun. And so when I showed him this one's a little bit, like, the pace is a little bit slower because you don't really get into the monster stuff for, the first 30 minutes or so?
Yeah.
Because of the love story stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of build-up with the party and all that.
So a piece of trivia about Lizzie Kaplan, she thought this was a romantic movie until her second audition where she read a scene. And after she was offered the role, she found out it was a monster movie. And the actors weren't allowed to read the script until after they had signed on.
Yeah.
So they were only given a bit to read. It may not, and probably wasn't even a part of the real script.
Well, it wasn't. So to prevent plot leaks, the actors auditioned using scenes from some of Abrams' others previous productions. So like Alias and Lost, Felicity, they were given those pages to audition with, and then once they got the role, they're like, okay, here's the real script.
Yeah. I'm a fan of J.J. Abrams.
Same.
He's brought us a lot of really cool things.
He hasn't done anything that I haven't liked. Put it that way.
I mean, true. Like, Lost, he was big a part of. The Star Trek reboot was like the first two. Beyond wasn't great.
Yeah, the first two were really good.
Beyond it's not unwatchable. It's not terrible. But it was nothing compared to the first two Star Treks that he did.
And he did all three, right?
He didn't. No.
Justin Lin did the third one. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's why it's got a different feel.
Exactly.
And, the DP was different. Like the way they shot those first two movies was really fun and cool.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody makes fun of the J.J. Abrams signature
lens flare?
move, which is the lens flare. And he puts it in everything he does.
Why is that such a big deal?
I don't know.
Like, people point that out.
You have what is James Cameron does like. What's his signature move?
Taking 11 years to make a movie for one.
Hey-o. But everybody has their all big producers or directors have their signature move. He's done that lens flare in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
He did it in Lost. He did it in Star Trek. He did it in Super 8 a lot.
Well, we talk about we've done a few Spike Lee films now. We talk about that dolly shot where they put the main character in that seat and he's like rolling forward.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of the big name directors have this
move.
Signature move that they do. Yeah. What's the Hitchcock? He created the dolly zoom effect that you see in Jaws.
The push pull.
The push pull. Yeah.
It's where you push the camera in and pull the zoom. So the background moves forward.
Yeah.
And the camera's moving forward. So it's got this weird like jarring effect.
It looks like the background shrinking and the characters coming like bigger in the frame.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool effect of doing the opposite.
And they've used it so many times.
Yeah.
Since, yeah. He also puts himself in every single one of his movies.
Hitchcock? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So artist Neville Page, his name not artist, not artist Neville Page, who was the designer on the film, said the concept for the monster was that of an immature creature suffering from separation anxiety. This recalls real-life circus elephants who get frightened and lash out.
Which is very similar to Super 8.
Yeah.
He was like away from home. Like, I mean, that was more of an homage to E.T.
Right.
But same concept. Like you're out of your element. You want to go back to who your family was or whatever. Yeah.
And it makes sense because a lot of the theories and rumors, there were like a million when this movie came out.
Oh, yeah.
One was that this was like the child monster.
Okay.
With no parents and was just lost and was awakened, came from the depths of the ocean by something, which we'll want to get to what I think happened, why he surfaced later in the episode. Okay. But like this is like the baby version of the monster with no parents, doesn't know what to do, and is just being attacked pretty much. Yeah. And I kind of hate that because when I was watching it the other night, I didn't want to identify with the monster. I don't like identifying with the entity that's attacking the people.
Interesting.
But I kind of thought that.
You did.
Yeah. And it just made me look at things different.
Yeah.
He's just big and doesn't know what's happening, or whatever it is. And then, of course, the military comes in and starts attacking this thing because this thing's wreaking havoc all over New York City.
So lots of elements like Godzilla, and for great reasons. I mean, like that was one of the best monster movies ever. But the part that stands out to me in the beginning is when the Statue of Liberty's head goes down the street.
Yeah.
That was so shocking to see. And it told you it gave you an idea of how big this thing is going to be.
Right.
Because the Statue of Liberty is pretty large.
Yeah.
And it's like made out of stone or metal or whatever it is.
Kind of steel.
Maybe it's a mixture of the two. And so you see like down a pretty major street, you see this giant head being flying down the street. That was terrifying.
Yeah, it was. I remember seeing it in the film, in the theater, and then thinking, wow, okay, this monster is for real. He's not playing around.
And how big is this thing? We didn't see it
yet.
Yeah,
hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I had a quick sidebar because the film opens with Rob recording him and Beth in Beth's dad's loft. And it's April 22nd, 6:42 a.m. The movie ends at 6:42 a.m. also.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was thinking about the math because it's like 28 days between the beginning of that video and then the end of this movie.
Wow.
So the whole story is Beth and Rob hooked up in her dad's loft that night. Yeah. And he takes her to Coney Island because she's never been. And they spend the whole day together because we see the interspliced footage. And somewhere in that last 20-something days, they have a falling out where they're not speaking. And she shows up with this other guy, Travis. Is Travis from Veep? I've seen his face, but I can't place him.
There's a lot of people in the movie that just has a cast title, Partygoer.
Partygoer, yeah.
And I'm trying to look for Travis. Yes, Ben Feldman from Veep.
From Veep, right? Okay, that's what I thought. Yep. Okay. And I love that. So Beth and Rob go out to the stairwell.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
That's not him?
No. He looks like the guy from Veep.
Yeah.
But he's not. His big claim to fame really is Superstore.
That's it.
Really funny show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Superstore.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So earlier I want to correct myself. I said the film opens April 22nd. It's April 27th.
Okay.
And ends May 27th.
Okay, so 1
22nd.
month.
So yeah.
Ish.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 6:42 a.m., 6:42 a.m.
Yep.
So I thought it was ironic. So I had a sidebar. So when I was trying to figure out the time frame of when Beth and Rob hooked up and then the end of the movie, it's less than 30 days. And I wanted to see, because at the end the camera says Rob said Saturday, whatever date it was, 6:42 a.m. And I wanted to see if Saturday in 2008 was actually on that date, and it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't in the year before, the year after. So then I just got curious. I scrolled through my iPhone calendar.
Okay.
I wanted to see how far in the years I could go in the calendar.
Okay.
I got to the year 11,476.
What?
Yeah. I was scrolling for 5 minutes.
That's legit. How far the calendar goes.
It was going to go. It continued to go more. I just got tired of scrolling.
You just stopped.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm thinking, why would you need to have a counter go
So
to
you
the
can know
11,000?
when your birthday is going to be on what day in the year 11,000.
11,000, yeah. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure, okay, at 6,000 it'll start. At 5, 8, I just kept scrolling.
Wow.
My finger got so tired to use the other finger to scroll. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I can't scroll
Finger
forever.
fatigue.
Finger fatigue. Yes.
That's crazy.
So you talked about how T.J. Miller is given the camera and he documents pretty much this whole thing from a cinematic standpoint.
Yep.
His character's name is HUD, which is also it also stands for heads up display.
Yep.
Like on computer screens,
Iron Man.
planes. Yeah, exactly. So it's like a dual meaning to his name. He was even quoted as saying he shot like 2/3 of the film, like himself, and half of what he shot ended up actually in the theatrical cut.
I love that a lot of this movie was filmed in HD, like the camera that they're supposedly using.
Yeah.
Is like a mini DV camera.
Right.
Right.
I used to have one of those, by the way.
I did too.
Yeah.
I purchased one after film school,
Mm-hmm.
and so a piece of trivia that's really interesting is that the running time of the film without credits is about 80 minutes, the length of a long-running mini DV tape. So everything, there's little details that they're like trying to stick to. You
Exactly.
know? And that was a common format used in consumer camcorders.
So the viral marketing campaign for this film was so extensive. HUD, his character, T.J. Miller, even had a fake MySpace page.
Really?
Yeah.
His character did? That's funny.
Yeah. And before the end of the film, you could go to these different websites. I think one website was 1/1808, which is supposed to be the release date.com.
Yeah.
You go to that website and you can see like his MySpace page and this and that. The other characters have MySpace pages. His character's height was listed at like 6'3". And then after the film was released, it was cut in half to like 3'4", because at the end he gets eaten in half.
Oh
yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, so that the Statue of Liberty part that I talked about, that was very terrifying, was in the trailer.
Yeah,
so that
was
was one of the hooks that they got you with.
And then you hear the guy, "Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god!" Yeah.
Yeah, and there was no title.
Right.
It just showed a date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was shot with a handheld video recorder.
So I talked about this again. Bring it up. Beth brings Travis to the going away party. Let's. You're Rob, okay? You're gonna be Rob for a second.
Okay.
The girl you've been in love with since college, so we're talking at least 5, 6, 7 years. You hook up with her a month prior to this, and there's a falling out. You don't know what happened, and then she shows up to your going away party with this new guy. I mean, you can't be cool with that. Actually, you should ask her to leave.
Yeah.
Respectfully, you gotta go because you're gonna bring this guy to my going away party. I don't know who this is.
Yeah, you're ruining my party.
Yeah. And they even have like a little fight in the stairwell, and HUD's trying to film it.
Right.
And then eventually Rob comes in. He's kind of sulking in a corner, and HUD's like, "Hey man, you okay?" And this and that. And Lily's telling Jason, Jason's girlfriend, "Jason, go talk to him, make this right." Da da da. And then Beth eventually walks in. We see her walk in and grab Travis and leave. And Beth and Rob cross paths again. And she's like, "Well, good luck in Japan, Rob." And he said, "Good luck tonight, Travis."
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite lines in the movie, man.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
The I know I keep talking about this, but the Statue
of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty head was 50% larger than actual size. CG supervisor David Vickery said in an interview that many people imagine the head being much bigger than it actually is, and that the size was increased due to complaints that the head looked too small in the trailer.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wondered about that too. I didn't know that because I've never been to this actual Statue of Liberty, so I didn't know how
I've only driven by it.
Yeah. You've driven by?
Well, I was
in water?
No, so when you drive from JFK to Newark, which I did in a bus, you can see the Statue of Liberty
By the way,
from very far away.
I now know the logistics of that drive. That's a long drive.
It is a long drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were flying, we were going to Russia, and we flew from, I think it was Houston to JFK, JFK to Newark, Newark to Moscow.
Wow.
Moscow to St. Pete. It was a long trip.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So on the drive from JFK to Newark, you can see the Statue of Liberty up close?
No, it was very far
away.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, it was very far away.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But did it look, did it look big? Did it look...
Oh, it looked huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen the inside except for Ghostbusters 2. I saw the inside.
I mean, that's the only thing I have to reference it, right? Besides this.
And besides this, yeah. So I want to stay on the topic of the party because it's just a lot happens in this party. There's a girl they show for a couple of frames pass out on the couch. I don't know if you caught that.
Yep.
Like, a couple of frames. When the attack happens and everyone goes to the roof and then they have to like go back to the street, I don't think she made it. I don't think anybody grabbed her.
Oh no.
We never see her again, of course, because she's an ancillary character. She did. Yeah, she been gone.
Yeah.
She might have already been dead. We don't know.
Yeah, right. She may have been dead like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked about the Kings of Leon already.
We talked about Lost earlier, and there's a fun little piece of trivia that says the Dharma Initiative logo, a fictional research project featured in the television series Lost, can be seen briefly at the start of the film.
Like if you blink, you miss it.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen.
I don't know why, but I love those things so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're just trickling your bits of your film history or whatever you've done, all your projects you've worked on, in all of your other projects.
And if you're not familiar with their work, you would never even know.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah.
All right, so once they go to the roof, because they hear the initial rumble or whatever you want to call it.
I think it was an explosion.
Explosion, you're right. Because when they go to the roof, they see the capsized oil tanker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once they see the explosion on the roof, why are you still so calm and recording? I would have dropped that camera. I wouldn't even be up there, first of all.
Yeah.
I want to stay on the ground floor.
I think what we were hearing T.J. Miller say is what is bringing the erraticness to it, because he's like, you know, the camera is still filming, and it's a movie, so they're going to film it in a better way. But his voice, he's like, what was that? Oh my God. And he keeps zooming in on the explosion and stuff. And
I do like the image. So right after the explosion, they go down to the ground floor in the street. Right before the Statue of Liberty's head, this is going to be a theme, the Statue of Liberty head.
Yeah, we're going to keep up to you.
Right before it lands in the street, you see the Chrysler building just completely collapse.
Yeah.
It's a powerful image.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing that, I was thinking, wow.
So we have, like this sequence where they're running to get, cell phone batteries, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he has to run, and then like that's kind of when we see more of the city. And then like in the beginning, you want to know, you want to see what else is going on, right? Like a bigger, wider image of this monster and what he's been destroying or whatever, the damage path or whatever it is. And so they're running, and is that when we find out that there's a news thing on the TV, and they stop to watch the news?
Yeah.
And that's when we find out that there's smaller monsters
are dropping off
on the giant monster, and they're as big as humans.
Yeah.
And they're just like snatching people.
That was terrifying. Terrifying.
Yeah, because you not only have this big thing that you know where he is, you know he's far away from you or whatever.
Yeah.
But then what you don't know is these things, they have wings, right? Don't they have wings?
Wings or some kind of, Yeah,
and later we found out what they do to you when they sting you.
Bro. Yeah, we'll get
Lizzie
to that.
Kaplan explodes.
Yeah.
There's
an image I want to talk about. I wish we were doing video for this episode, because there's an image I took specifically for the video for this episode to post on that, because now we're skipping ahead, but when she goes back behind that curtain and you see the silhouette, there's a moment for like a half a frame right before she combusts. It looks like the guy in the hazmat suit looks like he's in the shape of a giant rat.
Oh.
And is biting her head, and then she explodes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I took the image of this because I froze it and got a picture of it. And it looks like a big rat. And in the trailer, the teaser trailer, it looks like a giant rat silhouette biting her before she
crazy.
Explodes.
Yeah, that's crazy. We see the military come in. They always don't know what to do.
They never do.
They always have all the guns.
Let's just shoot everything we have,
And like unloading every single bullet that they've ever purchased.
Right.
Or whatever.
They never try to figure out a strategy. Let's just shoot everything we have.
Yeah, and nothing's working.
Yeah.
Like tanks are getting blown away.
But I do love the when I think it's after the cell phone store scene where they're kind of looting and they figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
They decide to try to go to Beth because Beth calls Rob and she's like, "I'm hurt." You know, and they have this conversation.
It's like a voicemail, right?
Yeah. And his phone dies, so they go into the battery store to get batteries.
Yeah.
And so then it's Beth. At this point, Jason's already dead because they try to cross the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
And that's a terrifying scene too.
Gosh. That's when you really learn the scale of how big this thing is.
because I guess its tail comes up from under the water and smashes the bridge.
And it's just the whole bridge.
And
everybody's on the bridge. Like there's like cars and people running and military and people are like, go, go, go.
Yeah. It reminded me of the scene in one of the early scenes in War of the Worlds.
Okay.
When everybody's like on a bridge. I think they're trying to get to the boat. I think it's something like that. Because then the aliens and that attack the bridge or the boat because they're in the water. But my problem is, so Jason, they're all in it. So it's Jason, Beth, Lily, and Rob and HUD. And they're walking across this bridge. That's when Rob gets the call from Beth that something's wrong with her. But for some reason, Jason continues to walk ahead of everybody. And I never understood why. Because Lily's trying to tell Jason, hey, wait, Rob's on the phone.
Yeah. He's like, what?
Yeah.
She's like yelling at him.
And he never comes back. Why would you break away from the group and the crowd that big on the Brooklyn Bridge?
Was there a reason? Was he going to try to find someone or like maybe his brother or something?
Well, I think he just didn't want to. He wanted to get across the bridge as quickly as possible. But if you see the party that you're with stop, and you see your brother on the phone, like come back, and he would be alive. I guess he didn't
see them stop.
Maybe not.
Yeah, they were behind him, and he didn't know that they stopped. You've been walking with someone before and talking to them, and they're walking behind you, and like you realize that they've stopped and you've been walking and talking to yourself.
And giving them a whole story. It's like, fam, I'm not repeating any of that. Come on.
And they're like, whoever you're walking with, like, I didn't hear any of that, So you got to tell it all again.
So a few years ago, me and some friends went to Vegas. And I think I've mentioned this before. Like, I'm short, so it takes I have to walk a little faster to keep up most of my friends.
Yeah, you are short.
Yeah, thank you. One of my friends, was that a snort?
Yeah, you snorted.
Last night was wheeze laughing.
Yeah.
And now it's snort laughing. What's happening?
Are you dying?
Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of my friends I was with in Vegas, he's like 6'1", so almost a foot taller than me. And he was just like, he was power walking down the strip. And I'm like, bro, I'm still way back here.
So his stride is way larger than yours.
And he walks fast just in general.
Right.
So I'm thinking, bro, we're on vacation. You can slow down a little bit. I want to talk to you. Like, hey, look at
Where's
that building.
Fire?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I totally get it.
Yeah.
What I love about J.J. Abrams, he's going to give you two things every time. You can always count on relatable characters with everyday, normal, non-sophisticated dialogue, which we kind of talked about, and an amazing monster reveal at the end, which we also talked about. J.J. Abrams is going to give you those two things every time. So it's like, when I see his name is attached, I'm already all in. Because his track record's proven itself to me.
Absolutely.
The monster sound effects, like you hear them throughout the film, and they're terrifying. And they shot it in such a way where you never really know how close or far away the monster is. You don't know what direction he's going. So you really you don't have a sense of, well, if we go this direction, we could get away from it. Because he's so large, he can cover so much ground. But the only issue I have is at the very end, right before HUD gets eaten, the helicopter crashes, we think they're going to get away. And he looks up and the monster's right above him.
Yeah.
How do they not hear that big monster come up behind him?
Yes.
That's the biggest problem I have is that one thing.
Yeah. I mean, unless we know that monster is like super silent or something, but when it makes, you can hear the booms when it's walking and stuff. So that was crazy. But man, when they get up into the helicopter and the helicopter comes back down, like that whole sequence, the way that was shot, reminded me of Terminator Salvation.
Right. Yes.
They did the same kind of sequence.
It did. You're absolutely right.
But whenever it's toward the end, but whenever they're under the bridge and
in Central Park.
Yeah, that was crazy. A lot of like very close shots, and the camera will just stick on. Like the camera is dropped or something because he was dead.
Right.
So the camera's dropped, and all we see is that one bit of scene, and you hear everything else.
Yeah.
The helicopters and the army men or the screams or the explosions or whatever. So sound design was really, really important.
That's what I was gonna say. Like the sound effects, that sound editing was off the charts in this movie. From the monster, the guns, the people screaming off camera, you could hear everything.
Right.
Even when they're they decide to take the train tracks to walk to get to Beth's, the little noises that the monsters make before the night vision comes on.
Yes.
It's terrifying. Man, I hate hearing that sound.
When they do turn the night vision on, you see how many are in the ceiling crawling.
Yes.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
So part of the genius of this film to me is that Abrams lets the scenes breathe, which I think is a good it's a good characteristic of a good director, is you let the actors, give them time to let the moment breathe. You don't just say cut as soon as the dialogue's finished. You let the moment breathe to build tension. And a lot of moments in this film have no dialogue, and it's just the actors being given their moment to let the scene just happen.
Yeah.
A lot of those moments are in the subway when they're trying to figure out what the next move is, and Rob gets the phone call from his mom. And first he looks at his phone, he says, "Oh my God," you don't know who it is. You think it's Beth or somebody else. And then he kind of walks away, and then all of a sudden you hear him say, "Hey Mom," you're like, "Oh my God." I remember being in the theater when he says, "Hey Mom," the whole theater gasped. Because like now you have to tell your mom that your son is dead.
Right.
And whatever else is happening.
Right.
Yeah, it was a great scene.
We talked about the music earlier and how there's a couple of songs at the parties that we enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
The film actually has no music score, and the music for the end credits does not begin until 1 minute and 30 seconds after the credits start rolling.
Yeah.
And it was I downloaded that track when it came out called Roar by Michael, is it Giacchino?
I think so. It's Italian, so Giacchino.
And he does an incredible job on a lot of different movies that I love. A lot of the Pixar movies are done by him. A lot of J. James movies are done by him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed watching it again. Like I said, a lot of times I'll watch these movies that I've seen a million times, but watching it for the podcast is different. And I noticed
because you're intently watching.
Exactly. Oh, there's no score, no orchestral music in this, and it actually adds to the tension of the film to me.
A movie like that I can think of that didn't have a lot of music in it was Castaway. The Tom Hanks
being stuck on an
movie.
island.
Yeah, there was not a lot of movie score on that.
That's true.
Some of the footage in this film was shot by the actors.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead because I kind of teased this earlier.
Okay.
One of my theories about how this monster was awakened or came to be. So at the very end, after Rob gives his last little goodbye when they're under the tunnel, and then there's this explosion.
Yeah.
By the way, I love the tension of that scene because he's trying to say his last goodbye, him and Beth.
Yes.
And you hear the sirens go off before they call that specific tactic where they were going to just nuke all of Manhattan, a specific hammer down, I think was it. Yeah. And you hear the sirens, and it's just like, that's a terrifying sound anyway, like tornadoes or whatever.
Right.
After that scene, they cut to the end of the original tape with Rob and Beth at Coney Island.
Yeah.
And right before he pans back to her to ask her if she's had a good day, we see something fall from the far right top and go across diagonal to the in the sky. The first time I saw it in theaters, I never caught it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after I saw it the first time and like wanted to go online and try to see what this was about.
Right.
And I think there was like a YouTube video of it. Some people say it was a satellite that fell from the sky. Some people say it was a satellite for that Japanese company that fell out of the sky and like just fell deep in the ocean and woke this monster up.
The company he was going to go work for?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and there's a point in the movie where HUD says they're in the tunnel walking and he's got his theories about where the monster came from. It's like, well, maybe it flew down here, And so there's some people that think what's falling in the sky is this monster like in a crater of some kind and just falls deep in the ocean.
Yeah.
Eventually crawls his way back up like a month later.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
This movie is disturbing for a number of reasons. The main character witnesses his brother die.
Yeah.
Then his best friend at the end, HUD. And the girl he'd been in love with, they both die together.
Yeah.
So it's like a tragic love story.
Yeah.
The fact that if this ever happened and you didn't make it out, you would be caught in the blast zone. I mean, you don't get on those helicopters by 6 a.m.
Yeah.
You're stuck. And I guess you know what's coming. And if you think about it, this movie, a lot of what happens isn't that far-fetched to me because I'm a big sci-fi guy. I watch a lot of monster movies and I don't think it's so far-fetched that there's creatures out in the universe because it's egotistical for us to think just the Earth and the humans on Earth is it.
Yeah.
When we have this vast, unexplored, space. Like we just saw recently live images, I guess, of some rover landing on Mars. We're still trying to see what else is out there. And I'm not a fan of trying to see what's out there because it could be really scary.
Well, it reminds me of that movie Underwater.
Oh, so you did see that?
I told you. I texted you when I was watching
Sorry, you did.
A lot of the underwater land mass that's down there, we haven't even discovered anything like all of it yet. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a very small percentage of what we have actually been on down there.
It's a small percentage.
So what's down there?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And scientists have to know.
Like that show, Ancient Aliens.
Ancient Aliens, yeah.
Stuff that's been down there for however long Earth has been around.
Right.
That we've no idea. And they don't know we're here and we don't know that they're there type situation,
Are you reading my notes?
Did you?
I was just about to say all the stuff you just said.
Are you serious?
Yes.
No.
Talking about the deep ocean.
It was in your notes.
How a majority of the earth is made up of water.
Yep.
Like, it's terrifying. And so this kind of goes into something I was thinking about this morning getting ready. So I do have, like, some phobias. I have, like, real fears and I have, like, I guess, irrational ones. One of my irrational fears is aquaphobia, which is the fear of water.
Okay.
And I also have a deeper dive on aquaphobia called thalassophobia. Have you heard of that?
I think we talked about this.
Maybe we did.
before.
It's like it's a fear of like large bodies of water. So like the ocean.
Okay.
And one time I was telling my dad that I have a fear of. I discovered what this word meant not even a year ago, and I was talking to him and I said, "Hey, I have thalassophobia." He was like, "What's that?" So I like Googled the name and clicked on the images.
Yeah.
And quickly had to give the screen to him because like I can't.
You couldn't even look at it.
Yeah, no. There was all these different images of different like large bodies of water, like under where it's dark, you can't see monsters. Like it freaked me out to my core. I was like, "Look at this! I just take the screen. I can't."
Yeah.
And the other one is it's not a phobia, but I have acute photosynthesis.
Bright lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like even computer screens, like I have to turn them almost all the way down to like 10%.
Yeah.
It's just my eyes. It just can't take that much bright light.
Interesting.
Yeah, not really a phobia.
What
But
if that affects your sleep?
it could be because I sleep in total pitch black.
Yeah.
I know some people can't.
Yeah.
But I gotta have pitch black. Like no lights. I don't even have like an alarm clock because we have phones now.
Right.
But I keep my phone face down. I keep it on silent 24/7.
Yeah.
I got weird little tics. Like it has to be pitch black. There has to be some sort of like ambient or background noise at all times.
Yeah.
So when I'm working from home remote, I've got the TV on with like low volume so I can at least hear something.
Background noise.
Yeah. Or if not the TV, then I'll have a floor fan that I can hear from my bedroom.
Yeah.
Silence kills me. So yeah, I'm weird. I also love the New York lingo in this film because I love New York.
Right.
So they talk about the Lincoln Tunnel, Lower Manhattan, the Brooklyn Bridge, the 6, which is one of the trains they're looking for, 59th Street, and Columbus Circle, which is where Beth's building is in that Columbus Circle area.
Yeah.
Speaking of that scene,
I was about to talk about that scene.
Let's go there. Let's talk about it.
So they got to go to where she is, right? And they go up. They look up and they see her building, right?
Like, crashed up against the other one.
It's fallen on another building adjacent or next to it or whatever. So they decide to go up the building that they're leaning on and then like crawl through. That's crazy.
It's terrifying, yeah.
I have a fear of heights. We're talking about fears.
Like fear of that kind of height? Yeah, for sure.
I'm afraid of heights. So I would be frozen with fear. I would not have been able to climb out and drop down and go into the other building at all.
I don't know if I love somebody that much to do that. I mean, my parents, I probably would try. First of all, they go up to I think 59 flights of stairs. I could probably give you 5 flights and then I'm tired.
Yeah, heart attack.
But yeah, so once they get to where they can cross over, like you said, the rooftop is leaning.
Yeah.
And you can see just off on the right or the left, like way down there on the street.
Yeah.
And then they cross over, they get Beth, because Beth's like impaled by some like stone or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they don't show it, but they like lift her off of it.
Yeah.
And it sounds
painful. They put the camera down so that everybody can grab her and lift her off that thing.
Yeah.
And all you hear is her screaming. And it's terrifying.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So they have to cross back over to get out. And as they're crossing over, HUD like pans out to like in the distance.
Yeah.
You see the monster coming.
Yeah.
And that just intensifies or it heightens that scene because you're already terrified being on this roof.
Yeah.
Now this monster looks like it's coming right at you because it sees you.
So you have to hurry. Yeah.
Oh, and on top of that, as they're trying to get out, those little monsters are in the corridor.
Yeah.
So you have all this stuff happening all at once.
Jeez, crazy.
So they have moments in this film where it's like you said, it's kind of they slow things down, then they ramp up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right after they another good moment is right after they get out of the tunnel and after the attack of those little monsters, they cut up and through and they're in some mall and they see a bright white light. And then all of a sudden these military guys like rush out with guns and this and that. And then they're talking about what's going on with the military. And the military's like, we don't know, whatever it is, it's winning, da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden HUD cuts over to Marlena, who's played by Lizzie Kaplan. And she looks like she's about to die. Her eyes are bleeding blood. And that's when they realize, we got another body. And before that, they show a body like encased in glass, like scrolling by on what do you call those little beds?
A gurney?
Yeah, gurney.
Yeah.
And like its insides are like empty. It's like opened up.
Yeah.
And you see it for like a couple of frames. You're like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
And then what's about to happen happens to Marlena just a few seconds later.
Yeah. So they like sting you or bite you, and they put something in you.
I guess like some kind of venom.
Like so, you're the host of something that comes out of you, which is very similar to
aliens. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of aliens, those face huggers, terrifying.
Oh God,
terrifying.
The worst. Yeah. Images from King Kong in 1933, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, 1953, and Them! 1954, are hidden within the film. Each image is seen extremely briefly for only a single frame during a camera edit. The Them picture is shown at 24 minutes and 6 seconds. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms picture is shown at 45 minutes, and the King Kong picture is shown at 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 55 frames, I guess, or 1 hour, 6 minutes, 55 seconds.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
A brief clip of Rob and Beth at a train station is seen with the King Kong image at 1:06:53.
See, so
Crazy.
I stayed through the end of the credits. I watched the end of the credits. And at the end, it says, clips from this were shown by da-da-da. I don't remember seeing any of that. I guess because you say it's all happens in one frame in different parts of the film. So if you aren't looking for it, if you blink, you miss it.
Yeah.
So speaking about the end credits, I want to ask you about this. Have you listened to the end credits before? Like the very end? You stayed through the whole thing?
When I saw the movie in the theater and the credits roll, it was only a few years after graduating film school, and what we did when we were in film school, when we go watch movies, is we watched the credits all the way to the end
to show appreciation for
exactly, for all the hard work and sometimes there's like just fun things to read or whatever, things to learn about the second unit and where it's from and who the AD was or whatever. So I remember watching it then.
Okay.
When Remy and I watched it the other day, we didn't watch all the credits.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you may not remember then because it's been like 13 years, but at the very end of the credits, like after everything's rolled through, you hear static from like a walkie-talkie or a camera, and it sounds like someone faintly says, "Help us," and it sounds like Rob. So after that big explosion from the hammer down operation, I think him and Beth are still alive or just clinging to life in that tunnel after it's exploded, because they're under the tunnel, so they probably have been protected to some degree from like a lot of the debris and whatnot. I don't think the whole bridge collapsed on them. So I think maybe they're just kind of trapped in there, but I mean, who knows? It's just a nice Easter egg. Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through some of the favorite scenes, some of the favorite quotes.
All right, so we talked about kind of the drama with Beth and Rob in the beginning, is that they hooked up like a month before this party, and then there's this fallout at the party. So right after it's revealed that Rob and Beth had sex, Lily immediately tells Hud not to say a word. And he tells the first couple, Rob and Beth totally had sex together. I can't deliver it the way he does, but he's like, they had sex together. Yeah. Like, that's how sex works, buddy.
They were sexing each other.
Right? Yeah. We talked about the Rob and Beth exchange where they're leaving, and she says, "Good luck in Japan, Rob." And he says, "Good luck tonight, Travis." I would have loved to have seen like the drive home with Travis and Beth.
Yeah, after the party?
After that, yeah. And why he just left her.
The tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think I could think of logically was they're probably just like in the beginning stages of trying to date maybe. So they hadn't really crossed that line like physically yet. But it was just a funny line. What's in that cup?
Coffee.
Oh.
I had coffee earlier.
You should do coffee with the...
oh, it's already gone.
Oh, loser. In the tunnels after the train. I call it the tunnels. I guess it is a tunnel.
I mean, it's a subway tunnel.
Subway tunnel, yeah.
Or HUD Metro or whatever.
Metro, yeah. HUD is sharing his theories on where the monster could have come from and says maybe it flew here. Marlena sarcastically says, like Superman? And HUD retorts, "Wait, you know who Superman is?"
Yeah.
She turns around dramatically and says, "Oh my God, wait, you know who Superman is? Whoa, I'm feeling something. Do you know Garfield?"
Yeah.
I love the little like intentional moments like that are comedic moments. Yeah. And the last line. It's a military line. Any movie that has a military, they have these crazy like over the top lines, but are super cool to hear.
Okay.
So right after Marlena explodes, and they take the rest of the group, the survivors, to like the head general of this operation, and he's talking about the hammer down protocol at 6 a.m. Get to the helicopters or you won't get out.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Rack 'em and pack 'em. We're phantoms in 15."
Rack 'em and pack 'em. We're phantoms in 15.
Yeah.
As in, we're going to be gone in 15.
Yeah, it's like load up everything in 15 minutes. We're out of here.
Yeah.
But they always have to make the military say these really cool, like coded, like we get it, bro. You're military. It's
Drop
all right.
a cool line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So 2 things you can always expect from military. We talked about before you said this. They're gonna fire everything they have with no strategy.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna have some cool like rack 'em and pack 'em quotes that they throw out.
Yeah.
They just make the military. They always make the military, law enforcement, like useless in these movies. So I went through my favorite lines. Did you have any favorite lines?
I don't remember a lot of the lines from the movie. And
There weren't a lot.
That's not what I was focusing on, I guess, when I was watching it. I was just focusing on like how it was filmed and you know what you see or whatever as far as the monster goes.
Well, it's like you said at the beginning, like the whole found footage concept is really cool to use for this movie.
Yeah.
Because we've seen monster movies, but it's always been just like a normally shot.
Yeah. The monster movie that I loved after I saw this movie was the new Godzilla movie. That was
with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Which was actually directed. Didn't Matt Reeves do that?
I'm not sure. I want to say no, but I could be wrong.
No, he didn't. Who was that? Gareth Edwards? Is that who it was?
Oh, didn't he do one of the Star Wars movies?
He's. It was Gareth Edwards, yeah.
Okay.
And he did The Last Jedi. The one everybody hated.
Yeah.
Oh, and he directed. Wait.
No, he did Rogue One, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last Jedi was Rian Johnson, who did Looper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was a nice tangent. But what I was getting at was like I didn't see a really good monster movie after Cloverfield until I saw Godzilla in 2014.
Super 8?
Oh, shit.
Which we even talked about, but yeah. I mean,
okay. In the last 15 years, it's been Cloverfield, Super 8, Godzilla,
and Godzilla.
as far as my favorite monster movies.
Underwater, which you just saw?
That are all similar, you know, 'cause they're all like Godzilla, right? They're all like one giant monster. You know, you have Kong Skull Island is like a bunch of different monsters, which is still a great movie, and I love those kind of movies. So that's my point.
So now that you've seen...
It's a loose point.
It's a great loose point. It's a Lucy. So now that you've seen Underwater...
Yeah.
I read this...
Which I really loved.
Yeah, it was really good. I like that the movie starts off like right away. Like Kristen Stewart's brushing her teeth to start her day.
When movies like that throw you in as soon as the movie starts, like Tenet,
yes,
it's just boom, you're in, you know. And all of Christopher Nolan's movies do that. You're starting that in a process that's already started,
exactly,
or something like that.
It's almost like it's like a dream. You never remember the beginning of a dream. It's always like in the middle.
You start,
and I know you're really big on hooks.
Yes.
So like again, we talk about anything Christopher Nolan does, Underwater.
Yeah.
Which wasn't Christopher Nolan, but
right.
So one of the theories that I read, and it's just like a loose theory, another loosey, but it's not confirmed, it's not even true. But there's a case to be made that Underwater could be a prequel to Cloverfield.
Oh, you told me this when I was watching
that. I did. Yes. Like, okay, I couldn't remember if I told you or not.
Yeah, I remember that.
But now that you've seen it, you know what you know.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody's seen it that's listening, but I suggest you check it out. If you love Cloverfield, check this out.
So, is this a universe? Because there are 2 more movies under the same name. So you have 10 Cloverfield Lane.
We gotta talk about those too, I think.
And I've only seen the first 2, which would be Cloverfield, the movie we're talking about now. 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was really good.
Yeah. Did we see that together?
I don't think so. I watched it like on Netflix or something.
Got it.
But it wasn't. It was kind of connected to this. There wasn't the same monsters.
No, they're very different.
But I didn't see the Cloverfield Paradox, which came out more recently.
That's the Netflix movie.
Yeah,
I didn't see that either.
I don't know if it looked more of like a space movie or something. I didn't watch it, so I don't, fans, if you've watched it, let us know what it's about, or if it's good, or we should cover it, or whatever.
Right. Because I've heard nothing but bad things about that movie.
Same, yeah.
And it's got the word paradox in the title, so it makes me think time travel's involved.
And it's probably not related to the first movie.
Yeah. Now, there is good news is supposedly JJ's working on a true-to-life sequel to this movie.
Heck yeah.
And I've been waiting since 2008 for this.
Right. That's good.
I think there's still enough interest in this original movie, this story, to continue. But I've been told that it's not going to be a found footage because, I mean, it would make sense that you wouldn't have...
Go in a new direction.
Yeah. Now, a few years ago, there was a theory that the direct sequel would be found footage from just a different group of people.
Oh,
but that would just be the same
a different
movie.
Perspective?
Yeah, or like a different person.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I would watch that.
But it would basically be the same thing.
I mean, you're right, yeah.
But I would still watch.
I'm okay with it. You know?
But whatever JJ does, I mean, like I said, I'm already all in.
Yeah.
So I hope he actually gets this done.
I would love to see another movie that TJ Miller narrates.
Yes.
Or something like that.
He should narrate everything.
Just grab a camera, or give him a camera and just tell him to go do stuff.
Bro, could you imagine if he was just the camera guy for the Deadpool movies?
Oh my gosh.
And his commentary?
Love his character in Deadpool. It's so fun.
They should really utilize that tactic more often. Like have one of your leads, like just document whatever's happening in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a really effective concept to me.
Well, yeah, and it gives you way more content.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there a hair in my mouth? You wouldn't know. I just feel like there's a hair in my mouth.
I'm not in your mouth. I don't know.
Okay. No, okay. So let me jump back to favorite scenes. The whole party, which I've touched on several times. I love everything about that party. It seemed like just a good time. Everybody's there for the right reason. They're there to celebrate Rob and send him off with this going away party and wish him the best. I love the conversation between Rob, Jason, and Hud on the balcony right before the attack. I guess I mentioned before, like that camera angle is kind of slanted, like the camera's kind of sitting there. That whole dialogue is just extremely realistic. It's just like you would have that conversation if you're talking about this girl that you're in love with and your brother and best friend are there. It's like a conversation I feel like you, me, and maybe like Chris would have. Yeah. About something, or a girl or whatever.
Yeah. Very relatable.
Yeah. And again, I love the initial. Oh, my camera just died. Okay, there it is.
Camera.
Not camera. What is it called? Laptop.
What is this called?
Where are we?
Yeah.
The initial attack, going to the roof, the explosion, the camera cutting in and out from the explosions, all the way down to when we see the building collapse, not Rockefeller, the Chrysler building, and everyone's got to go hide in the bodega. Yeah. And we don't quite know what's going on yet, and it's just pandemonium. So we talk about moments in the film where it kind of like lulls you into something else, like there's a dialogue, and then boom, something crazy happens. And it's chaos for like 5 to 7 minutes. The war zone scene, when you have you have Lily, Marlena, Hud, and Rob in the street, trying to get to Bess or formulate a plan. And you see this rocket just like blow by the overhead.
Dude, yeah.
And then they turn around and it's just this whole military with tanks and guns and all this, and they're attacking this monster. The monster's right there. Yeah. And they've got to hide in like the little stairwells. Right. And Hud's across the street and they're all over there and he's by himself. Yeah. That was a great scene.
That was an incredible scene. And like, that's what I love about these kind of movies, or this movie, because like, you walk out and that should be the main focus. Yeah. The military fighting this monster should be the main focus. But the camera is following this small group of people running through that type of scene.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
We talked about before when Rob's phone rings when he's in the subway. He looks at his phone and says, "Oh God, you're thinking it's Beth or whoever." And he answers, "Hey, Mom." We talked about this before also when they turn on the night vision because they can hear something behind them in the tunnel. And I call them mini Clovies.
Okay. I like it.
So there's like mini Clovies just hanging from the ceiling and they drop down. Yeah. And
there's tons of them.
The sound that they make is like a very creepy.
I can't remember the sound.
It's like it's almost like a like that.
Oh, yes. That's right.
And you hear that. It's like, I never want to hear that either.
Yeah. Can you make it one more time?
Nope. Now I'm glad there's no video.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure my face looks horrible.
Your face looks funny when you make that now. That noise.
And that's it. The last scene we talked about, Marlena's death. Yeah. And how it goes from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, real fast.
You show her on camera, she's bleeding from her eyes and her mouth, her nose. Yeah. And then they take her behind the curtain and boom.
Yeah. Well, she's super pale.
Yeah.
Like kind of bluish. Mm-hmm. And she's bleeding and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I saw this movie in 2008. I watched it again in around 2014. Okay. And then I watched it more recently towards the end of last year.
That was with Remy.
Showing Remy. Okay. Each time I watched it was just like the first time I watched it.
Me too.
I still felt the anxiety. Mm-hmm. I still felt the butterflies of what's going to... Like, even though I knew what was going to happen, I was like, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, I love that, I guess, you have the ability to watch a movie that you're familiar with because it was so poignant at the time that everything stands out. Yeah. But that you can still, like, lull back into like, oh, this is the first view,
Yeah.
the first viewing, because I'm watching the party scene and I'm just like entrenched in the party scene.
Yep.
I know what's happening, but I'm only focusing on what I can see at that moment.
Yeah.
So everything feels fresh when it happens.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, we talked about when this movie released.
Mm-hmm.
If this movie would have came out any other time in 2008,
yeah.
it probably would have gotten buried.
Yeah.
Because isn't that when Iron Man came out?
Iron Man, The Dark Knight, Wall-E. I mean, a lot of big movies came out this whole year.
So it probably would have gotten lost in that mess.
Yeah.
So whoever chose to release it in January was a good choice.
You know what's funny? So in the industry, like January, I guess is known as like the dump job season, because like you've had the holiday season with the big movies. Let's just throw whatever else
January,
out.
February.
Yeah, that didn't have like a release date. And hopefully
really until spring is when more blockbusters started dropping.
But like I mentioned, one of the movies that came out that year, Taken, also came out in January, and then it spawned 2 more sequels.
Yeah.
So and it was a hit,
huge movie.
Because everybody's thinking Liam Neeson is like this old guy, but he has a special set of skills.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen him in a long time.
Right.
What was that movie, The English Patient, or was it the other one? I'm thinking of what's that Steven Spielberg about the Jews and the Nazis?
Schindler's List?
That's the one he was in. Nobody had really seen him do anything since then, and nothing action.
He had been the voice of Aslan in the Narnia movies.
Okay, you're right.
So you recognize his voice, but yeah.
That was a disappointing franchise too. The first one was
great. It started strong.
Yeah.
And it just kind of faded off and dropped off. However, Netflix is making a series on the Narnia movies.
I did hear about that, yeah.
Which I'm excited about.
Real quick, so Matt Reeves is the director. What is your anticipation level for the new Batman?
I feel the same way I felt when they started spinning out more, no pun intended, more Spider-Man movies.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I wasn't crazy about the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. In
fact, neither was
I didn't even finish watching the first of the 2 he was in. Mm-hmm. And that was going to be another big franchise. They wanted it to be. I'm not really crazy about this. Like, I think that Robert Pattinson will do a decent job. Mm-hmm. And the images that I've seen looks cool.
Right.
Like the Batman car, the Batmobile looks cool. But I don't. Judging off of what I've seen from Matt Reeves and what I know about Batman, it could be cool.
Yeah.
It has potential.
Right.
But I'm apprehensive.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair take. I think I'm with you on that. Like, I'm excited about it, but I feel like they reboot a lot of these characters too soon.
Exactly.
Like, we had the Sam Raimi Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
Right.
And not even 5 years after we got the Andrew Garfield. I felt that was too soon.
Yeah.
And then we jumped right into Tom Holland. Same thing with Batman. We had Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and now Pattinson.
Because of how well done the MCU movies are, I love the Tom Holland ones.
Okay.
And how he's intertwined with all that, the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's too soon. Like, we just got Justice League, and we just got Batman vs. Superman or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're going off of gruff old Bruce Wayne, which I was kind of a fan of.
Right, me too.
But it was also still pretty on the heels of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Exactly.
Which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, like, I think I'm looking forward to... as much as I love superhero movies, I'm looking forward to more brand new content that we're going to see after this year of COVID.
Yeah.
After this year of non-production. Like, nobody's producing.
Right.
And I hope that all these writers are at home coming up with these brand new ideas that nobody's ever thought of before. And I want that to be the next era of Hollywood.
Just fresh,
new content. Brand new ideas.
Yeah.
That we have never seen before.
Exactly. Because I'm kind of sick of getting the same old rehash.
Yeah.
We just talked off mic about the Equalizer TV shows, got Queen Latifah. And we talked about this before with the...
gender swap.
Gender swap, yeah. Like, I'm all for females being leads in these movies and shows, but don't remake something that's already been done. Like, give them something fresh.
Exactly.
So hopefully, like you said, I hope in the next year we see new content that's new ideas.
Completely brand new.
Not rehashed, not remade, not rebooted.
Not a sequel.
Yeah.
Or the beginning of a new, I mean, I like to see a beginning of a new franchise, but like, don't give us another Transformers or another, Speed. I don't know why I said Speed.
None of that.
Yeah. However, after having said all that, we are going to get another Matrix pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, this summer, right?
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight to HBO Max and theaters same day.
Yeah, which they're doing a lot of those movies.
Like, HBO,
we're getting Godzilla vs. Kong soon.
That's also in March, I think.
In March, yeah. So there are some things. Wow. There are some things that are exciting that we're looking forward to this year as far as cinematically. But yeah, I stand on my looking for a new era of Hollywood.
Hollywood, call me. I got nothing but fresh ideas.
Right. Well, guys, this was Cloverfield. We both enjoyed it. I will definitely watch it again.
Absolutely.
If you haven't seen this, please take a look at this movie. And thanks for listening.
Later, guys.